Have you ever wondered why you are here? You didn't choose to be born, and now you have to come to terms with living in a world where you feel like you don't belong. You didn't choose the family you were born into, not the circumstances you were born into, not the place or the time you were born into, and yet here you are. The question is, what do you do when you don't even want to be here? This question occupies many people around the world. Even though it seems like we are living in the best time since the beginning of humanity, many still feel like they don't belong. The feeling of being foreign, like an outsider. The feeling of not belonging anywhere, having no meaning, no goals in life. We live in a world that offers more wealth and comfort than ever before, and yet it seems that modern nihilism is widespread in society. Also, most people in the Western world live in comfort. It appears that this very comfort is what drives people apart from one another. It gives the impression that the more we achieve and possess in life, the emptier we feel inside. We define ourselves by our jobs, by our social media accounts. We measure our worth by the successes and failures we experience in life. We live in a time where people are more free than ever, and yet many feel as though they are trapped. We have more options than ever to shape our lives, but this overwhelming abundance of choice seems to paralyze most people. This is the illusion of freedom. Instead of living self-determined lives, we do things that seem to have no real meaning. Most people are stuck in jobs that make them unhappy and feel pointless. You go to work to pay the rent, only to go back to work the next day. Forced to live in a system based on conformity, adapting to social and societal expectations. Living to follow the crowd instead of living as an individual. Algorithms and trends shape our daily lives. The fear of missing out pushes many people to stay online constantly. No one wants to miss a new trend, a hype, or an event. We spend countless hours watching other people live their lives. Paradoxically, this very fear of missing out leads to us not living our own lives. We lie at home in bed, doom scrolling. It almost seems as if the more technological progress advances, the more real human connections fade away. This had led many people to feel lonely and empty, trapped in a superficial world where it seems that humanity is being lost more and more. So the question is, how do you live a life you don't even want to live? This question is not easy to answer, and there's probably no single answer that fits everyone. It's not about quitting everything tomorrow, leaving your job, or completely reinventing your life. That very thought overwhelms many people and ultimately just keeps everything the same. The real beginning is much less spectacular. It starts with asking yourself, what do I actually want? This question isn't easy to answer, and that's exactly the point where many people fail again. Because it's easier to stay in what's familiar than to face new challenges. Familiar suffering is still more bearable than the fear of the unknown. But change rarely begins with big achievements. It begins with developing the courage to take small steps. Maybe that means being honest with yourself for the first time. Maybe it means not automatically saying yes in a situation anymore. Or admitting to yourself that you are doing things that don't truly bring you joy. And that's what it's all about. Changing your life doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of many small decisions. It's okay to fail and to be afraid of new things. Fear will always be a part of it. The only question is whether it controls your decisions or whether you learn to keep going despite it. Maybe you're in a situation where you don't even know what you want, or in a situation you have no control over changing, but you can start by living in it more consciously. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do happen, and you will be just fine. Accepting life as it is one of the hardest things to do, yet also one of the most important. If you learn to accept that things won't always turn out the way you want, setbacks will unsettle you less. Life will always follow its own path. So instead of trying to change external things you cannot control, you can try to move with life. Instead of expecting life to adapt to you, you can learn to adapt to life and go with the flow. It's okay not to know what to do. Sometimes that's exactly the solution. Letting life unfold and simply experiencing it as it is, even if it's something negative. Because in the end, it's not about getting everything right overnight. It's about letting go of the need to cling to expectations or situations. And maybe that's the first real step toward changing your life without forcing it. Those who manage to live in harmony with the present moment will be able to overcome any obstacle.